Hello there, Loving Without Boundaries community. Kitty Shambliss here, and I am super excited to be doing this Facebook Live here with Dillon Birdsall. So really excited to
Hello.
have, yeah, hello. Really excited to have this conversation with you. I want to learn more about you, your work, and I know that you're doing a More Than Monogamy documentary, which I'm
Yes.
super excited about, and we'll be talking about that. But I'd love to just start out by asking if you would just share a little bit about yourself in your own words with our community here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, everybody. Nice to meet all of you. My name is Dillon. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I've been doing that for about 8 years now. My first feature film was all about virginity. It actually follows my life over the course of like 3 years as I came to terms with my own virginity. I was very hard on myself when I was younger about being a virgin, and I wanted to explore that in a film. And then after making that film, and spoilers, losing my virginity eventually, I found my way into the lifestyle and have been kind of happily open with my relationships for about 4 years now. So I thought it would be a good idea to explore that as kind of a follow-up to V-Card, my first film. But I also have met a lot of people who are getting into the lifestyle for the first time. They're kind of exploring their sexuality more than they ever have before. And of course, when you like get into this new world, there are a lot of terms and things and just like all of this new information that's kind of coming at you. And I wanted to provide a like fun, educational, and interesting documentary for people who might be getting into it for the first time and veterans who maybe wanted to take a look back at some of the other stuff.
That's great. Well, I love everything that you're doing, and I'm enjoying getting to know you, including in our conversation today. And in an effort to, and thank you for all you're doing. I mean, I think any storytelling, any way that we're normalizing making choices, whether it's consensual non-monogamy or exploring our sexuality, I think it's so important. So I just want to start out by just saying, thank you so much for everything that you're already doing and that you've done. And
Well, vice versa. Thank you for obviously you have this amazing group. You've been doing this research for years and years now. And I am all for, like you just said, anybody who's out there who's actively trying to help the community and like really bring it up and be like, hey, this is normal. It's totally fine if this is something that you want to explore. It's okay to be a sexual being. Like that needs to be a larger part of the conversation, right? Like because it is.
yeah.
It's a big part of who you could become and your sexual identity, potentially. It's not the end all
Mhm.
be all. Monogamy is a perfectly fine way to have a relationship. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But there are definitely some times and some people who it just doesn't work for, you know? And
Yeah.
that's who I want to talk to and, be with.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I really honor and am totally in line with everything that you said there too. It's more about just showing people that there's choices. It's not that one choice is better than another choice. A lot of times, like myself, for example, I didn't grow up even knowing that I had any choice. I thought monogamy was the only thing I was allowed to, heteronormative monogamy at that. So it's just about teaching people and showing them that there are many different ways to be living your most authentic life or to be in healthy relationships. So I really love that you highlighted that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the whole point of everything is like it's fluid, right? Like if you get stuck in a fixed state of thinking that this is it, you can only do this, you can only be in this type of relationship, that can feel very confining. That can feel really like not great in the long run, especially you grow a lot as like when I think back to the person I was at 18 to the person I am now, I just turned 30 this year. Like there are still a lot of things that are very similar about myself, but I have grown so much as a person. And I would hope that as you're growing and you're discovering more about your sexuality, that you would, like do the work to like become more educated, talk to your
Yeah.
partner more, be a better lover, all
Mhm.
that good stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. All that fun and amazing personal growth, and yeah, just doing the work. And your documentary work can really help people do that exploration as well. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about your background, if that's okay. So one question I love to ask is, I call it the light bulb moment question. So like, was there a moment in your life when and it might be more than one moment, where you realized that maybe you weren't like the other kids, or maybe you might be coloring outside of the lines, whether it was heteronormative monogamy or something else. Was there a moment like that for you that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, of course. I'm extremely lucky. I have amazing parents who have been happily married, I think, for 45 years now. Like, they've been together for
Wow.
like a very long time. And they are still as in love with one another as they were back in their 20s, but maybe it's a little bit different, right? When you're with somebody that long.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this amazing example to look to in my family, and I was like, wow, that seems really cool. I don't even know if I'll be able to live up to that, because obviously my parents were kind of in like this bubble, but all my friends' families were divorced. I had plenty of people in my life who were from single family homes and stuff like that. So it was different from my experience. And I guess when I was younger, I wasn't really thinking about that. But when I started making the documentary about virginity, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I originally was going to be an actor, and I didn't want to do that. I moved to New York, discovered that that was not the thing I wanted to do, and I kind of had to change course in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that movies were always the thing that I wanted to do. That was the reason I was getting into acting. So I decided to take this idea that I had in college, because I wasn't having sex in college, and I was very ashamed of that, I guess, or I didn't think I was enough when college life was happening and I wasn't having any sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to put all of my efforts into figuring out why I felt that way. And I did that through filmmaking. So for those of you who don't know what making a documentary is like, it's kind of like a reverse film. So you like have an idea, and then you start tracking down as many people as you can to talk to about that idea. And then you kind of shape the film afterwards in the edit. But
Oh, wow.
the entire time I'm making the movie, I'm doing all this research about sexuality. I'm meeting all these people who are people who have obviously lost their virginity. I'm speaking to sex therapists. I'm speaking to porn stars. I'm speaking to all these people who have a lot more experience than I do. And especially the conversations I was having with porn stars were very interesting, because, you know, at that time, this film was about 5 or 6 years ago, they're, you know, still being pretty demonized for the job that they did and stuff like that. And these were some of the nicest, kindest, like most willing to speak to me and be like nice to me about my virginity. It was just wonderful. And it was like, well, if they have such a healthy view of their sexuality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the way I should do it. And then luckily, the person I lost my virginity to, she was in an open relationship. She was in a polyamorous relationship, and her partner was okay with us sleeping together, because I asked her outright. I was like, "Would you like to be the person who takes my virginity?" And she was all game for that, which is exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for a teacher. I was looking for somebody to like take me under their wing and make me feel safe and comforted, and really show me the ropes when it came to like the physical acts of sexuality. Up to that point, I used to like to say I was like one of the most knowledgeable people about sex who had never had it, through all the research I was doing. So after losing my virginity, and after meeting all these people who had different forms of open relationships, it really kind of struck me as like, this seems like a thing that I would like to do. And it seems like a healthy way to have a relationship, if you can, of course, have the communication and compassion and understanding of your partner. So I started thinking, like, right after losing my virginity, I went to a couple of sex clubs. I had my first group experiences. I went from like 0 to 60 very quickly.
Sounds like it.
Because at that point I had a lot more confidence. I think one of the main things, the reason why I was a virgin for so long, is because I kind of hated myself, and I didn't realize I hated myself. It was me making the movie that kind of showed me how much I thought I was less than, and how disgusting I thought I was. And don't get me wrong, I think all of us are fighting that all the time, right? Like, I think that is a big
Yeah,
part of just
totally.
being a person.
Yeah.
Is
Humaning, I call it. You're just being a human, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you like, I still fight that all the time. I think I'm not the body type that people want. I'm not the, penis size that people want. But at the end of the day, all of that is very superficial stuff. And if you can be like a kind, caring, compassionate person, you'll find people to really fill your life with. And that's kind of how I got into this lifestyle. That was kind of the light bulb moment. It was like, I did all this research. It seems like a really healthy way to live your life if you can find the right people to live it with. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people doing it not correctly, like actively hurting their partners, actively cheating within the context of the lifestyle. And, you just have to be conscious of that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making the movie. It's, give you a little bit of a roadmap as to ways that you could potentially not do that with your partner.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so first I just want to honor the vulnerable sharing and just the transparency of your journey, because the more stories that are told, the more voices we have, it just helps people to feel seen or to realize, there's not something wrong with me if they feel ashamed, or if maybe they're still battling with being a virgin or whatever. So I really honor just how open you're being with that. And I think
you.
Yeah. And I think everyone, as you said, who's listening can identify with some aspect of your story. I mean, we've all, as humans, right? Like there's going to be moments where we go through all different sorts of emotions, whether it's shame or guilt or, wondering, is there something wrong with me, or when are things going to get better, or who am I anyway? I mean, we all have those moments in our lives. So
of course, it's a very human thing, right? Like, and I think, when I was making the movie, the incel movement was gaining a lot of traction at the time. And of course, I don't agree with anything that the incel movement stands for. I think that's abhorrent. But I can say that I can understand where they're coming from. If you feel like nobody's listening to you, right? And that's really what the root of that movement is. It's people who don't feel like they're being seen or heard. And if you have a group, even though the group is awful, telling you that you're seen and you're heard and that you're loved, people are going to gravitate towards that because it's the only source of comfort, or one of the only sources of comfort in their life. And that's a failing on us as a society, because we've been so shitty throughout the years about speaking about mental health, speaking about vulnerability, being able to actively, especially as a man, being able to be like, hey, yeah, no, I definitely have feelings, and I definitely have all of these insecurities that I want to vocalize, but it's not seen as manly or the correct way to be a man. All this like really toxic shit that of course it's going to poison your mind. And of course there's just as bad on the reverse for women, of course, right? The idea that, you're not sexy enough, or that, that you're a shrew or a bitch or any of these things. And we just are bad at communication 90% of the time. We're just bad at it. And we need to get better at it so that we can have a healthier, happier society. Like, that's being compassionate is actively, one, listening, and two, not offering a solution, but being there for somebody, just being like, I hear you. That's awful. I'm right with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often describe compassion, a form of compassion is empathy. And one thing I like to say is I believe lack of empathy is the root of all evil. I mean, imagine if we all were better listeners, if we did hold space and be non-judgmental of each other and didn't try and, fix everything, and just kind of held that space, what a different world the place would be in. And that's why I think it's also just so great, all the work that you're doing, just to offer different tools and show different people different ways that they can show up in the world. So I really appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thanks. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Like, the lack of empathy in the world right now is really sad, but it's also not shocking, right? Like, we don't put a large emphasis on it. And if as a society we don't put an emphasis on it, it's really hard to teach people how to care when it doesn't seem like doing caring things nets you a favorable result or a profitable result. And that's, sad. That's a sad thing to think about society.
It's true. I mean, even with my own mission, and as I work towards being an entrepreneur and all of that, I definitely wanted a lot of the work that I do to be centered around generosity and gratitude. So like even down to, this is off topic, but it's, I just love, random acts of kindness. Like, anytime we can just do random acts of kindness for each other, and just kind of that positive sense of humanity that we can show each other. And I think that's really shows, it manifests in the way that you present yourself, just how compassionate you are, and how you're trying to come at things with a kind heart and really an open mind too. That's what I'm picking up.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, I'm trying to, but I mean, there's no denying it is hard. Like, I mean, there are definitely people who think random acts of kindness like you're trying to fool them in some way. So you're like, nope, I'm just trying
The
to be like,
cynics.
just trying to be like a good person, and they're like, I don't believe that shit for a second. And you're like, all right,
That's true.
I don't know how to convince you otherwise. And then
Yeah.
of course, there's the thing that you always, and I have to fight this all the time too, not to become cynical yourself, because there are
Mhm.
just so many times throughout your life where, yeah, you get burned, somebody hurts you, you know, a job
Yeah.
fucks you over. Like there a lot of society, and I'm speaking relatively out of my ass because I'm not an expert in any of this, but it seems like the way that we structured society right now, this kind of very capitalist, exceedingly profit driven, you know, I got to keep up with the Joneses it doesn't seem like it's really helping you as a person. And I don't even really believe in a soul. I'm like a diehard atheist, but it seems like it's hurting your soul, like your
Mm.
mental well-being, to be this thing where it's like the only thing that matters is profit and being wealthy and overcoming these things and having status. And it's like, I don't really think that's the case. I think that's a small piece of it, maybe. Like, don't get me wrong, having a little bit of money is helpful. Like, I'm raising money for this film right now. It'd be great if I had that money. Like, I'm not going to
Yeah.
deny that money is
Mhm.
like an important part of the society, but we've put so much emphasis on it now that, especially in relationships and all these other interpersonal things, it's getting mucked up with all this weird economic shit, and it needs to stop. It's bad for you. But
Mhm.
once again, I'm not an expert, so please don't quote me. That's just how I kind of feel.
Yeah, well, and that's what this interview partly is and even documentaries like I think the one you're making, like it's partly, yes, you want to have experts, but it's also just talking human to human, you know,
Yeah.
and again, giving people a voice. So I love hearing different people's stories and different people's perspectives, because everybody's story matters and it's important to share them. So I'd love to start talking about your documentary, but I'd love to understand what, as you were kind of exploring your sexuality and consensual non-monogamy, what were maybe some of the challenges along the way that you've had, and how did you overcome those?
Well, I mean, a big challenge always, and I think this is true in and outside the lifestyle. Um, I think a lot of people take sex for granted sometimes. You know, maybe if you are more conventionally attractive, maybe you're having sex with people because you're kind of sexually attracted to them. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but it might not be fulfilling an emotional side of
Mhm.
yourself that maybe you need. But of course, you can have a wonderful one night stand and just have it just be that. And for me, that's always been something that I've struggled with. I'm both a very sexual person, but the more I kind of discover about my sexuality, I think I may fall further on the lines of sapiosexuality. So having like a
Mhm.
real mental connection with someone is really what kind of gets me there. I'm kind of discovering that as I've done that. But of course, the narrative I've been fed my entire life through the media and stuff like that is just like, you should want to fuck all the time. You know, you should just be like
Yeah.
ready to go every second of the day, bro. You should be ready to fuck. And it's like, I mean, sometimes I think I'm like that, and then I realize I'm completely not like that. Like, and that's
Mhm.
not the way that sex should work, right? Like, every time I get to have sex, I feel really grateful about it. I try and be as present as I can be in that situation, because it's kind of like an honor, right? Like, if somebody chooses to
Mhm.
have sex with you, like, that's a really cool thing.
Mhm.
And of course, in those situations, I usually do feel self-conscious about my body, about my penis size, about any of those things. So I'm still working through those, but it's become much better over the years. And of course, it becomes a lot better even if you are having a one night stand with a partner. If you've been this open and communicative and been like, hey, I might have a problem not coming tonight. Like, that's happened to me in the past. I mean, you just, you know, like, just giving you a heads up. It's not you, it's just something.
Mhm.
And if you are able to have those conversations up front and during the act of sex, it's so much better, right? Like,
Mhm.
I want you to tell me what you want, because I'm not a fucking mind reader. Like, I don't know that you want your ear
Mhm.
bitten. Like, how the fuck am I going to know that? Like, I need you to tell me that up front. And I'm very upfront with my sexual partners about, like, I want you to have the best time you possibly can. So for that to happen, I need like a roadmap. I need you to tell me what you need.
Yeah.
And I don't hear a lot of people doing that in the vanilla world, especially, right? I think most people in the vanilla world, like, they have sex and it's just kind of like, they're trying to like divine where water is, and it's like, no, dude, just ask, just like fucking talk about it. Just stop being ashamed of what you want sexually.
Yes. I couldn't agree with you more. And I just love your sense of humor and the hilarity of which you speak, just making it more digestible. Absolutely. But yeah, I agree with the whole, I'm not going to be a mind reader, and I don't want you to be a mind reader either. So let's have that conversation right now. Let's lay all our cards on the table.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think there are so many people, even today, they're like, sex is taboo and you can't talk about it. And I'm like, I call bullshit. This is one of the reasons I even have the podcast that I have, is so that we can have these conversations, so we can normalize those conversations and get it out on the table.
One of our biggest problems as a puritanical society, which we are, sadly, is that, this idea that sex is taboo, I wouldn't fucking exist, nor would you, without somebody fucking somebody. So
exactly.
I don't understand why you think this is a bad thing. Like, it's so fucking weird to me. And this also kind of comes from me being raised in a very open household, having relatively agnostic parents, and religion never playing a role in my life. Like, sex is just a thing. Like, it's just the thing. It's a biological thing that you need to do to further the species. Of course, there's so much more than that, but at the very base bones of it, you are programmed to want this. It is a big part of society and being a mammal in general. So you have to stop taking it so seriously. I guess maybe it's not serious, but you have to stop putting it into this little box where it's just this thing that you get to speak about with the like people you're close with. I'll talk to anybody about sex. I would fucking talk to the Pope about sex in a heartbeat. I'd just be like, what's going on, dude?
Yeah.
Are you lonely?
Yeah, I know, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I came from a different background. I did come from a religious background and a non-open household. We certainly didn't talk about sex. My biggest sex talk I ever got, I was leaving the house when I was 16 years old, and my mom said to me as I walked out the door, "Okay, don't be late when you get home. Be home by midnight." And I was like, "Okay." And then she said, "And don't get pregnant." And I was like, "Was that the sex talk?"
Yeah, mine was completely different. I picked up a Kama Sutra book at Barnes & Noble when I was 5. I didn't know what it was. I was just going through Barnes & Noble, and I happened to pick up a Kama Sutra book, and I was taken with it, as any 5-year-old would be. It was something I had never seen before, of course. And we had the conversation the next day. They were like, well, he's clearly seen it. Let's explain it. And went from there. And then even when I was younger, I had basically free reign of like looking at porn and stuff like that. Obviously my parents were very much like, this is a fantasy to a certain degree. This is not necessarily real life. This is not something that you should try with a partner unless they ask for it. They did a great job raising me. They were like, we know that you're going to look at this. We know that you are obviously coming into a time where you're going to start masturbating and stuff like that. Like, try and keep it on the down low. But, we're going to respect you. We're going to treat you like an adult and be like, obviously, this is going to be a part of your life. Here are ways to be less shitty about it.
I love that. I think that's amazing. So kudos to your parents. I'm toasting them right now.
Yeah.
And I just want to highlight something you said earlier that I really thought was excellent, which is to not take sex for granted and having that sense of gratitude. I get to have sex with this person. They're choosing me. And I think it can be something that gets taken for granted, whether we slip into, boredom or things of that nature. So I really wanted to highlight that because I thought that was a beautiful thing that you shared there.
No, it's amazing, right? Like, I haven't been chosen many times in my life. That's not to say, but like, that's always been one of my things. Like, dating is still pretty difficult for me. I don't have a girlfriend right now. Like, even the way dating is set up right now is not ideal. But when somebody chooses you and they're like, hey, I want to do this with you, you should be really appreciative of that. And you should really take the time to like process the fact that you are getting to do something that not everybody gets to do with this person. You're going to be intimate with them in a completely different way. And I think we talk about sex more than we even talk about intimacy. And intimacy is a completely different thing that is so rarely spoken of that's even more shocking to me, right? Like, sex is taboo, but speaking about intimacy is so rarely done that I don't even think a lot of people my age and even older and younger have a real framework on a way to be like, oh, I'm intimate with that person. And that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily have to mean I am sexually involved with that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also like they're letting you see a piece of their heart or a piece of their soul, so to speak, and being really vulnerable in a way to somebody else, and that can be really rare. It could also be very scary and take some courage. So it's also something to really honor, I would say. So I'd love to start talking about your documentary. Like when was the moment there where you thought, oh my goodness, I need to make a documentary, and I think I'm going to call it More Than Monogamy. Tell me a little bit about the genesis of that.
Yeah, so I after finishing V Card, which came out in I finished V Card in 2018. We did our festival run in 2019. I was kind of at the place where V Card didn't do as well as I was hoping. I mean, it was a very small independent production that I, self-made and self-released, very much like this one is going to be done. But it was also my first movie, so I didn't really 100% know what I was doing, and I definitely know more of what I'm doing now. But when I was looking at all the other projects I could potentially work on, when I was looking at this one, I was like, well, I mean, non-monogamy is a part of my life. I've met all these amazing people through the process of filming V Card. It would be a great follow-up to V Card. So it was like all the pieces were already kind of in place for it to be made. And now that I had the experience and the equipment, I was like, I can make this movie relatively cheaply with the people I already have in my life. And of course, I reached out to you and other educators who I didn't know, but that's, relatively simple, right? It's just a matter of reaching out to them and being like, hey, do you want to be in the film? And then setting up an interview date. So yeah, that was really the impetus. It was when you look at everything that I had gone through in the past, I was like, well, making this follow-up is honestly the thing I should do, because especially with COVID, when I was looking at my options and, having a larger crew or any of those things, and luckily I'm vaccinated now, and it seems like the world is getting better at vaccinating.
Yes.
This one made the most sense because I can basically make it by myself. And yeah, that's really it. It was like, it's a great follow-up. It's a subject I really care about, and I can do it on my own. Hits all the check boxes, really, as from like a business and filmmaking, perspective.
Yeah. And I'm thrilled that you reached out, and I'm hoping that you're getting a really positive response to the people that you are talking to.
I've been very lucky. I've had quite a few experts now get back to me and are willing to be in the film. So yay.
That is great. Yay. Who would you say this film is for, if you had to talk about who your target audience is?
I'm definitely aiming it at people who are relatively new to the lifestyle. Obviously, if you've been in the lifestyle a long time, you'll get a kick out of watching it. I am going to give like historical looks at like swinging and polyamory, and it's going to be a fun, informational documentary. But I really wanted to make something for the new open relationship person, the new person discovering what a rope bunny is, or what a unicorn is, or a bull, or any of these other terms that, if you're watching right now and you don't know what those are, we will answer those questions in this documentary. And that's who I wanted to make it for. I wanted to make it for somebody who thinks this might be something that they want to do, but is still kind of on the fence. They want a little more information. And I also want to make it for people who are not in the lifestyle at all. They have zero interest in joining the lifestyle, but I want to normalize what we are doing. And I want to show them that it's okay, that just because these people are doing something sexually that you would never want to do in your own life, that it's totally fine that they're doing it in theirs.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, and I love all that. Thank you for sharing that. And what I'm hearing is too, you want to normalize consensual non-monogamy, but also normalize kink or BDSM. I heard recently that phrase, don't yuck somebody else's yums.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. So there's going to be a portion in the film where we speak about BDSM and kink, which obviously comes up pretty frequently in non-monogamous circles, but does not necessarily have to be a non-monogamous activity. There are plenty of people who are in highly monogamous relationships that practice BDSM and kinky things. But it's also something that if you are entering the open lifestyle, you're probably going to run into a rope bunny or somebody who's really into shibari. You're probably going to run into sub-dom relationships, right? Where you have to kind of navigate those and see if that's something that you potentially want. And all of that is under this big umbrella, in my opinion. I know some people differ on the definitions of this, but for me, the lifestyle just means the alternative lifestyle of vanilla. So that means open relationships, polyamory, swinging, BDSM, and kink. All of that in my life has fallen under the umbrella of the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like the way that you're framing that. And it's a documentary partly from your own research and your own perspective. And I think that's also really awesome. And from what you were saying too, just even from working with my own clients, there's shame not only around sex and having sex and thinking it's taboo, right? But there can also be shame around fetishes and kink and BDSM that I've seen too. So I think what you're doing is really amazing to help normalize and show that there's lots of different ways that we can be sexual, that we can share intimacy or our sexuality with other people. So I really honor that you are kind of casting a spotlight and creating a conversation around that with people all over the country, right? Is it all over the country or all over the world that you'll be speaking with people?
It'll probably be all over the country. I'm going to New York. I live in Albuquerque right now. I'm going to go to California. We got some stuff in Denver. So it's going to be, I don't have that much money to go across the pond, you know, like I'm still making it on the relative cheap. But yeah, it is all about opening it. And that's why it's called More Than Monogamy, right? Like there are so many more things that you can do. And of course, there are going to be fetishes and things that you are not going to like. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is no shame in knowing that you don't want, say, I've never been into blood play. You know, like I have no desire for somebody to cut me and drink my blood. That makes me feel uncomfortable. But if that is your fetish and your kink, I guarantee you, one, it's not abnormal. There are plenty of people who do like that kink, and you can find them. But you do have to approach it with safety, communication, and with a little bit of tact. You know, like you have to have a little bit of self-understanding before you can just jump into these communities. You need to know who you are as a person. And just like we talked about at the top of the show, you're going to be ever evolving. You may think that you like a kink, and then you will act out that kink and then go, I did not like that kink. Oh, I thought I did, but I didn't. And now I'm going to change, and I'm going to grow, and I'm going to evolve. And then you might be the reverse. You might have thought that you weren't going to like something, absolutely discover that you fucking love it, and then you have another new thing that you evolved into. It's beautiful if you're open to it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think a great metaphor that coincides with very nicely with don't yuck somebody else's yums. If you think of different fetishes or kinks as just ice cream flavors, like I might like butter pecan, you know, and you might like butter pecan. And so maybe we'll enjoy it together, right? Yeah. Or maybe you like mint chocolate chip and I'm like, ew,
I fucking hate mint chocolate chip.
Yes, me too. I do not like mint chocolate chip.
I hate it. Like I can't, I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum, but if you like mint chocolate chip, find a different ice cream flavor. I don't like it. I dislike that flavor a lot. But yeah, when it comes to sexuality, you should not be judging people, right? You don't want to feel judged. And once again, like I said, you are going to run into, once you get further into these communities, you're going to hear stuff and see stuff potentially that you're like, I don't like that. And you know what? It's okay if you don't like it, but don't shame them for it. Just realize in yourself that you do not like it. You allow them to enjoy it, and you just step back from it. You don't have to state your opinion in that time. It's totally okay for you to have an opinion that you don't voice. I know that might be hard for some people to hear, but you can have an opinion that you don't have to share with everyone, that you just keep internally without, shaming somebody. Like, don't do that. Really shitty.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. Well said. So in terms of the work that you're doing on the documentary, what would you say are some of the challenges that you're facing so far? And then we can also, I'd love to hear about some of the challenges and what's rewarding and how people can help and start to move it into that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the challenge, as always, is money. Money is really hard, and it's a huge part of filmmaking. Like, at the end of the day, I need to travel to places. I need to buy hard drives. I need to hire somebody to do the after effects or like visual effects in the movie. I'm going to edit the film myself, but there are still things that I can't do as a filmmaker, and I need to hire people to do those. So I need money to pay them so that the movie can get finished. That will always be the hardest part of making any film. Finding money is so fucking hard. It's so difficult. But apart from that, the best parts of filmmaking are this, like getting to meet you, getting to speak to your fans, getting, like you said, to hear people's stories. Like being a documentary filmmaker is so rewarding that I get to meet, interact with, and then present really important things that people are saying. Like that's really cool. And that really means a lot to me as a person. Like I feel so grateful that this is my job. I just wish I could pay my rent doing it. You know,
right,
it's
that would
just
be
like,
important.
yeah, it's one of those like 50-50 things where you're like, well, I love doing this, but also like, you know, electricity ain't free. So I need to figure out a way to make this both a business and a thing in my life that I care about. And honestly, for this, the easiest way that you can help, if you have been enjoying what I've been saying and you think I'm an interesting person, please donate to the film. That is the easiest and fastest way that you can actively help me get it out there. If you can't donate to the film, I totally understand that. Times are tough. COVID was fucking rough. I'm trying to get on unemployment. I'm still not on it. So I get if you can't donate, but please share it. Tell people about it. And if you can't donate to me or you don't trust me yet, donate to an organization that is helping in your community, that has a proven track record of helping trans people, of helping people of color, helping, you know, prostitutes and all these things. Like I would love to overturn phosphosesfa. Like any of those efforts are worth your time and worthwhile. And I actively want you, especially if you're in these more open communities, to think about that on a larger scale. Like it's important that you do.
That's awesome. So how can people donate? Like where do they, what's your website address? How can they get a hold of you and help if they do, if what you're saying really resonates with them and you're touching a piece of their heart and they want to help?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to www.morethanmonogamy.com. There is a link there to go to our Seed and Spark page, or on Seed and Spark, you can just look up More Than Monogamy. Seed and Spark is like a Kickstarter, but it's specifically designed around filmmaking, especially. We've got about 7 days left on our crowdfunding campaign there. I'm also trying to set up a way to just donate directly to the film or donate directly to me. But currently right now, we're around $7,000 and I'm still like 3,000 away from the goal that I was looking for on Kickstarter. So if you've got the time, or not on Kickstarter, on Seed and Spark, if you've got the time today, please go to either morethanmonogamy.com or seedandspark.com/morethanmonogamy. And throw in $1, throw in $5. If you can donate more, please do. And if you can't donate anything, please share. That's all I ask.
That's awesome. So you'd love it if people just shared by telling their friends or sharing about it on social media, any particular way that you can?
If you want to tell your friends, word of mouth has been really good for V-Card, so I'm down for that. And yeah, if you want to use fucking social and tweet the poster or put it up on your Facebook page, fucking do it. I will like, heart, and comment every single one. I'm there for it.
That's amazing. So when this is in our Loving Without Boundaries community, would you put any of those links there and also the little poster you were mentioning so that people can share that?
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
That would be amazing. Is there anything else, Dillon, that you'd love to share, or maybe something that I didn't ask you, or any message you'd love to leave people with?
Yeah, absolutely. If you enjoyed watching this, like I said before, please consider donating to the movie. But I've been in your community for a couple of days now, and I'm seeing so many people asking, you know, I just started doing this with my partner and it's hard, and it's going to be hard. Sexuality is really, really complex. It's not an easy thing for anyone to do. But if you are open with your partner and you are really communicative with them and you actively take the time to grow yourself as well as your relationships, and if you listen to people like Kitty and actually want to be a better partner, it will pay off in the long run. It is going to be difficult, though. I don't know any sexual relationship that isn't a little bit difficult all of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we're honored to have you here in our community. And I'm excited to share this information with as many people as possible.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on.
It's been such a pleasure, and I know we're going to continue the conversation, and I
Yeah,
look
well, I'm going to be
forward.
interviewing you in like a month. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so really looking forward to that, and yeah, maybe we can post some pictures. I'm vaccinated too, so yay for that.
Woo. I mean, yeah, where's the play party at? What's
I
up?
know, I know. Well, you're just so lovely. And again, just thank you for everything that you're doing. I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of you're putting so much heart and soul into this documentary, and even for the whatever work you're going to be doing next. I'm just glad that you're making the world a better place, and I really honor that.
No, thank you. Like, seriously, this has been wonderful. I can't wait to meet you in person and have you in the film. And yeah, for anybody out there watching, have a fucking great day.
All right,
Bye.
take care.
See ya.